because I have screamed myself through to a different level of voicing potential. I silently scream. I do not go to Victoria streets alone anymore. I don't even go downtown because I was almost killed 6 times. There is an RCMP report on Salt Spring Island from March the 12th that I gave when the Ganges Village Market was evacuated. The streets of Victoria are extremely dangerous. One day a telephone missed my head by 2 inches. It went and the Japanese tourists put their children and grandchildren in the car and drove away really fast. Excuse me, mister, do you have the time, or are you so important that you can't spare a dime? Excuse me, mister, can't you hear the children crying? Excuse me, mister, people are going to the big surprise every day. They're going to the big surprise. And you know what? It's a blah, blah, blah. Gordon Who says I can't light a fire on the beach to keep my own body warm and my friends warm when I'm homeless and there's a beach and I have the audacity to be smart enough to carry a lighter and there's wood, so you have to stay out on the streets and you're freezing cold? And you walk around all night and you get to know every little seagull and things are magical. And in the morning, in the winter, you can go onto a place called Our Place. And they open the doors at 6:30 in the morning and you get water, warmth, dry clothing, friendship, advice, prayer. And you also get an overworked, compassionate, beautiful man, and you have to go there and get your welfare check because you're barred from the welfare office. And that man is overworked and not on the ball. And that man perpetuated my homelessness. If I had had 2 pieces of ID, I could have rented a hostel room when I had money. If that man had taken my shelter for me a month ago, well, he didn't. A young U Vic student took it to the welfare office workers. Janine and Pandora, that I can't see, she lost the shelter form. 5 days later, I go into Michael's office, and he doesn't know anything about it. So I lost the shelter potential because that office is not on the ball. And because when my mother was dying, I had waited 3 days at the social services for a rent check, and I was angry. So I sat back on the bench and waited for my check because I knew I was angry and I didn't want to explode in the welfare office. And this is one story, Sierra. The supervisor of the Nelson office comes to the little wicket. She starts closing it. She says, I'm going to mail you a check. No, first of all, I said, I'm angry. She said, please come. I said, no, I'm just going to sit here. Do I get my fucking check or not? So I swore. She closes the wicket, and I went like this. And I grabbed the check. Unfortunately, I caught a little bit of her blouse and tore it. So I went like this. And I snatched the check, and I have half of it to this day in my files in Nelson. They said, we're calling the police. We're calling the police. Well, at that moment, I knew if they mailed a check, it would take 3 more days before I could get to Victoria to see my dying mother. So I said, go ahead, call the police. And I jumped up on the other corner of the other desk, and there was 2 pen sets. And I carefully scanned the crowd. And it went like this. And I picked them up, and it went... And I threw the pens in the corner. Then I walked outside, and I waited for the Nelson City Police to come and get me. And I think it was Pat or Dino that day. and I got charged. Now, I went to court. I lived in the bush, and I had to walk 7.5 kilometers out and hitchhike to Nelson, and I had a memory gapping, and I couldn't remember what day it is, but I got myself to probation appointments, and I had my day in court witnessed by my elder sister Joyce, and when I'd done, she said, "Eloquent." They thought I was assaulting the supervisor of the welfare office personally. And I got to say, no, I wasn't personal, blah, blah, blah. The charges were dropped. They're gone. And I wasn't allowed to get arrested for mischief for 6 months. And that was good for me. But the point is, when I go to Trail, or I move to Vernon, or I move to Victoria, or wherever I move, I have to go into, I can't get into the welfare office. So I can't really get competent help. That's a real disability. Now, when your welfare worker loses your shelter information, that's even more of a disability. And I want to say something here right now. I am on disability, too. I got out in November in 2004. I immediately rushed off and bought my first movie camera and took the Gemma past Teepee to Chattahog to be painted. And being on disability, too, has facilitated my journey into a world of filming. The eagles, bears, and ravens, and the rainbows, and the organic gardens, and the Shina, and Mulvey Creek Land Co-op, and Nelson and Argenta, the Kootenays. All of it. Because the world that I have filmed, I've been blessed to film, has been filmed by other people, too. And collectively we're going to put all our little pieces of film together. We're going to do the story of Eloise Charest. David Shabib was here. He's got that. Glenn, our instrument maker, is Victoria's finest busker. He's here making instruments out of garbage that he gets at thrift stores. They're quite beautiful. So this is Joycraft Forming, and Dream Space is here, and Glenn's here, and look at the computers we have to fix up here. Let's